to the Real Estate Success Podcast, where we unlock the secrets to thriving in the competitive world of real estate. Join us as we interview industry-leading realtors who share their journeys, strategies, and lessons learned on the path to success. Be sure to tune in as we dive into the keys to building and sustaining a profitable real estate business. And now, here is your host, Leland Gross.
Welcome back to this episode of What Works Wednesday. I'm Cody Hawkins.
And I'm Leland Gross, and we are the certified financial planners behind PeaceLink Financial Planning, where we specialize in serving realtors and self-employed professionals to help them manage their money with confidence and clarity so that they can get the most life out of their business.
On this episode, we're going to talk about financial goals or just goal setting in general. I know that I'm 9 days into the new year and I have failed all of my goals. My wife reminds me that I have not accomplished those yet, but hey, I've got 350 something days to go.
You know what? I just didn't set any goals. So if you just set your bar really low, like I can't fail a goal that I never set, Well,
you said your goal was to not have a kid this year.
That's true. I love my kids to death. I just don't want a new one in 2026. That's my goal. Maybe further down the line, but we're just keeping it steady.
Yeah. So we were breaking down like what we see with the people that we serve, the clients that we serve, their goals that they come in with. And one of our jobs is to help set clear goals with them. But when we meet prospects or just people we meet that want to talk about finances, they have a lot of dreams and goals and aspirations. And what we want to talk about today is how we see that lead to success. We were just talking about, you've heard of SMART goals. Leland can list off the acronym because we tried to memorize it, but we want to talk today about like good goals, good financial goals, because financial goals, when there's fitness and then there's finance is what you hear from most people in the new year of what goals they're setting. But we say that you need to have a vision, you need to have an actionable plan, and you need to be held accountable to that plan somehow. So let's kind of break down when you say, like when we're talking about this, what do you mean by like they need to have a vision?
Yeah, I mean, we hear lots of people come in with these goals that quite honestly, many times feel pretty arbitrary. Like they're getting their goals from comparison on social media. They're, or it might be something like, I want to, pay off all my debt this year. And you're like, that's an awesome goal. I love paying off debt, but they're really just reacting to pain in their finances. Like, I just don't want to feel this anymore. Or like, I want to max out my Roth IRA. You're like, that's a great goal. However, like, are you even eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA? Roth IRAs have a pretty low cap of just $7,000. So for some people, that might be a lofty goal. For some others, you're like, that's very attainable. But they're coming with these sort of buzzwordy goals that, quite honestly could be really impactful or could just, be fluff. And, I sit down and I'm like, all right, why? Like, what's the vision behind this goal? Because when I hear something like, I want to max out my retirement, it's like, all right, well, is retirement really the goal? Like, you also want to buy a house this year, like there's other things going on. I think what I'm hearing really is, hey, I've got a goal that I want to be really intentional about saving this year. And I want to have a real impact on my future planning. And you're like, great. That might be a Roth IRA. That might be your employer's 401k. That might be a brokerage account. There's lots of ways that you can do that. The Roth IRA is the tool to achieve a goal, but like, is that the goal itself? Or, I want to pay off debt. And you're like, great. Why is that? Well, I want to be free. I want to have more freedom to do other things with my finances. So oftentimes people come to us with these, very standardized goals without a real vision for why they care about that or what the goal beneath the goal really is.
And you kind of broke it down. Like, what is your true why behind that? I mean, the easy exercise is I want to be debt free. Okay. Why is that? And then why? You can break that down. And that's, when we meet with people, that's the first question we ask them when they have very specific goals. Because you can easily at the beginning of every year, you kind of write out all the things you would love to happen. Wouldn't it be fantastic if these things happen? But some of those things aren't necessarily on the priority list or able to happen this year. And I think it's helpful to break down, like maybe the goal is, I want to feel more financially free. I want to know where I am or where I stand. Like it can be easy to set goals. I mean, you get a Facebook ad and it's like, if you didn't have a Ferrari this year, it's a failure. Like, what are you doing? And so I think it can be helpful to not benchmark ourselves to our neighbors or to benchmark ourselves to social media, but to benchmark ourselves to like, what do we want out of life?
Mhm.
And then you can start breaking those out.
Yeah, because when the why exercise of like, all right, why do you want to be debt free? Well, I want to, get out of this debt. And you're like, okay, why? And like, well, because I want to be freed up in my finances. It's taking so much money monthly. Like, all right, why do you want to be freed up in your finances? Oh, so that I can like go out to eat more and shop more, buy a bigger house. You're like, okay, well, why do you want to do that? Well, because I want to be able to provide a certain lifestyle for my family. All right, well, why do you want to provide a certain lifestyle? And it's like you just keep going. And it's ultimately like, I want to live a life that flourishes, and I want to be able to achieve, the experiences and be able to provide experiences for my family. And currently, one of the things holding me back from that is monthly debt payments. And it's like, okay, well, now we have a real vision and a goal. We want to flourish and create experiences for my family. And now one of the action steps to that might be, all right, we need to get a plan in place to pay off your debt, or we need to save more.
Yeah.
And that's really like how we break out to a real goal, which is like most people really don't care if they max their Roth IRA. It's what is the Roth IRA actually going to provide for you that you can do that,
Yeah. So you're going into our next point, but I think setting a vision is one of the most important things. And it's good to list out goals, but knowing what's the reason you are setting those things, the same way with the gym. But now you've done the why, you've figured out, hey, I want to, save $100,000 for a down payment, or I want to pay off debt. Now, how do you get there?
Mm-hmm.
You've set the goal, but how do you break it out?
Quick pause. Hey, realtors, if you're earning great commissions, but worried you might be missing something financially, we built a tool just for you. It's our free 2-minute real estate financial health assessment. Don't wait until tax season exposes your financial gaps. In just a couple minutes, you'll see exactly what's strong in your business, where money might be slipping through the cracks, and what to fix before your next closing. Most agents have blind spots they never even think to check. You don't have to be one of them. Just head to realestatesuccesspod.com and get your personalized score and insights in 2 minutes or less. All right, back to the episode. Well, and I think this is this piece specifically is one of the reasons why 99.9% of New Year's resolutions never actually take. It's because you set a goal. You're like, oh, I really want this. You're like, awesome. And they're like, I'm going to try 3 things for a week without a real plan or a real knowledge of what is this going to take to do this. And then it never happened. So we would say, once you know your why, once you have a vision for your actual goal, you really need an action plan. And debt payoff is one of the best examples because we see people who are like, well, just as I have extra money, I just throw it on my debt over here, but this debt over here is growing and I'm just putting money on all these places. Like I basically have 5 fires going on and I'm throwing water arbitrarily when I have it, not looking at which fire is growing the fastest, which one's closest to the house. I need to get that one out before I get the one that's just like on the driveway. And so, coming in and saying, all right, you have a goal of X. You want this done by December. All right. Well, this is the resources we have at play. This is your surplus income. You have to pay for your bills. You got to pay for your life. What's extra? That's what we can use to put towards your goals. And how do we get there? With your debt, is it, all right, we're going to pay the minimums on all of them and really attack, the highest interest? Or are you going to attack the lowest balance to get that one paid off and take that payment and snowball it? And if we do that, how long is that realistically going to take? Maybe it's to pay off all your debt. Maybe that's not realistic in 1 year, but maybe it's realistic in 15 months, 18 months, if we have an actionable plan or, maxing out a Roth IRA. Okay, we need to save roughly $600 a month in order to do this. How are we going to grow it? Like these are the things that you need to kind of put in place so that you can say, all right, monthly, what is my goal? Not just annually. If my big goal is, pay off all my debt or max out an account, what's the baby step to get there? Okay, well then each month I need to create a, automated transaction to put $700 for my checking account in my Roth IRA. And I need to do that. I need to make sure I have that $700. So I need to every week make sure I'm, not spending this much money. But many people come with these lofty goals and no actual vision or plan in place to get there. And then they burn out by February because they're like, well, didn't do that. Like, well, you never went at it with a strategy.
I think the strategy aspect is really helpful because, if you lay all the things on the table, if your goal is to save for a down payment and you're doing that by accruing credit card debt, that may not be the most efficient way to achieve the things that you want.
Really hurts your debt to income ratio.
Yeah, right. And so I think it can be really helpful, as a financial planner. That's something we do all the time. How do we get as efficiently as possible to where you want to be, to A to B? But the next thing is, okay, we've got an actionable plan, but who knows if I don't do it? Who's holding me accountable to that?
Nobody, if you don't take accountability for yourself, and B, don't put accountability in process. Like, I really think accountability is so important. And I think a dual truth here, or an opposing truth, is, nobody can hold you accountable to anything. Like, at the end of the day, if I want Cody to hold me accountable to saving, and he's like, hey, did you do your saving? Did you, we got to put these systems in place. And I'm like, I'm just not going to do it. I'm responsible for that. Like, you ultimately have to take responsibility, and you can't hold anybody accountable to something that they're not willing to submit to the process to. So on one end, you need to be choosing an accountability person, partner, platform, whatever it is, that you're willing to submit to the process and say, like, I'm actually going to do this, because you need to take ownership of yourself. And then on top of that, you need a person, partner, or process that helps you stay accountable to that. Is that, a financial planner where, we're holding you to your goals, where we've got the written action plan and we're helping implement everything we can do, and we're following up with you on the things that you have to do? Is that something that, is that the path? Is it your spouse? Is it, your group of friends who, you're trusted enough to bring into your finances? Like, but I do agree, another reason why these goals don't happen is because we get, the day you feel excited about it, you're going to do 10 things. And then, a month later, you're no longer excited about it, or something else has popped up. Because we say, finances are something that everyone would say is important, but it's not urgent. Like, at the end of the day, you go to your job, you do your job, you come home, you go to the gym, you've got family, you've got kids you got to, spend time with and get them down for bed and do homework. Then you want to connect with your spouse. And so it's really easy for finance goals to get pushed to the back burner, even though they're really important. So unless you have an accountability source that you've chosen, you've said, hey, this is my goal and I'm really committed to this. Would you help hold me to this? I think the goals won't happen.
I think that's, and I think you dove into part that we don't have that long to talk about, which is the emotional aspect of money. Any goal, if you are not held accountable to it, or you have accountability, there can be this shame aspect. And money is innately emotional. But what I will say is, sometimes that's why people come to a financial planner, a third party, to kind of help them walk through setting those goals and doing that properly. But in 2026, there are some really helpful tools that can be helpful for someone who's not even working with a financial planner. There are cash flow and budgeting tools. There are automated reminders to do those things. And so a way to hold you accountable is just automate everything. Put everything through the system. And it requires so many hoops to jump through to turn it off. I think that's a huge step in there, but you've got to do it and not change it. And life is full of changes, but if you're able to automate anything, it's so much easier.
Yeah, I'm a certified financial planner with licenses and certifications in this, and if the money's in my account, it's going to get spent. If I don't have, automations to say, like, I'm going to force savings to happen, it won't happen. And that's coming from someone who my day in and day out is finance. And so I'm like, it's just normal that without automation is such a good accountability. It's why 401ks are a great tool to save for retirement, is because it's forced, it's automatic, and it happens before the money gets to your account. It just comes right off your paycheck. And so people are like, oh, I save, and I don't even really know I'm saving because it's just happening in the background. The more you can make things happen in the background, the better.
One of the goals that we hear all the time from people is we procrastinate everything. People always do, but they say, I need to meet with a financial professional this year. I think 2026 could be the year that you meet with a financial professional. I would do that and leap forward. You can set a vision, have some actionable goals, and be held accountable to that. I think it could be a really helpful step for a lot of people.
I agree. Shameless plug. Well, I love this conversation. I'm a guru for financial psychology and the kind of emotional soft side of finance, and I think goals are a really big part of it. So truly reach out if you have any questions, or if you're trying to set goals and you're trying to even see like what goals would help me get to my why. What is my why and how do we get there? We would love to have that conversation with you. But go forth, build the business and the 2026 goals you want, and prosper. Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Success Podcast. Before you go, a quick reminder. This podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended as tax, legal, or investment advice. The opinions shared by me or any of my guests are just that, their opinions. So if you're thinking about applying anything from today's episode to your life or business, I encourage you to consult a qualified professional who understands your unique situation and goals. If you want to take the next steps, check out the links in the show notes or go to realestatesuccesspod.com to complete our 2-minute financial health assessment. Or you can book a free call with us at PeaceLink Financial Planning, or just get in touch. We would love to hear from you. Now, go forth, forge your path, and prosper.